coming to you live with our second podcast of the day, first in PTM history. But with so much sports going on, it only made sense, and it gave us an easy excuse to get our boy Cliff, aka Bets from the Boot, back on the pod. Always fun having Cliff join, so we're excited to get started. But before we do, today's podcast is presented by Props.Cash. We 100% could not do what we do without Props.Cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up to get 25% off your first month. Cliff, welcome back. Dave, pleasure to see you again, as always. What's going on, boys?
Go ahead, Cliff.
Well, I'm glad that it's adult beverage night.
We were just talking about all the breweries that Cliff frequents that Tom and I have never been to. Then it started going to
backyards.
It started going to a conversation about cookies. So then we said, it's time to go live. Let's just get this show on the road.
Once it digresses to cookie talk, it's time to go.
Oh, the cookies went with the beer. They complemented each other.
Yeah.
Of course. Two desserts.
I'm gonna figure it out.
All right, so let's talk hoops. You guys both gave your picks last time we went through round one, and you both did pretty well. In fact, you guys didn't have the same teams that you picked, but you both ended up with about 67% hit rate. So congratulations. I was hoping to crown a first round winner between the two of you, but you guys are tied. So we're going to have to make this be round two and see who does better here.
Yeah, it seems like I see in the pre-notes we seem to be diverging here, so it could set up nicely for a nice finale.
Yeah, this was, I guess, just talking about the first round of the tournament. The first 2 days were like super exciting, right? Huge number of upsets, a lot of big unexpected wins, and then round two was like quite the opposite. I don't think there was a single upset, right? Or maybe one upset out of all. Yeah,
I think Saturday there was none on Sunday. I think.
Yeah. So.
So only one upset Saturday and Sunday combined.
Only one upset, right? So we're kind of left with a Sweet 16 that is heavily made up of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, but that's okay. Have some nice competitions here. Cliff, what was your favorite game from round one before we dive into Sweet 16?
So I would say there's two of them. The Florida-Colorado game, the ending of that, and then the A&M Houston game was just completely chaotic. Those two games, which you thought were pretty much done, even Alabama Grand Canyon, like they kept letting Grand Canyon back in the game. Grand Canyon kept shooting himself in the foot because they couldn't hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
So, Alabama dodged a bullet there. Houston dodged a really big bullet because that was it 11 points with like a minute and a half left, and if you looked on ESPN, it was like a 99% chance Houston was going to win, and they forced overtime. That was insane. And then same thing with Florida. Florida was like double-digit down as well, somewhere around 2 or 3 minutes left. And they managed to tie it, but then they got that ball stuck on the rim for Colorado to make that one.
Yeah. Tom, any favorites for you?
I missed a bunch of the games. I was traveling. One I did enjoy quite a bit. Saturday night was the Oregon Creighton game. Was pretty interesting. A lot of
good pace.
Yeah. A lot of back and forth, and those two, Dante and whatever the other guy's name, did like 95% of the scoring for the Ducks. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I would have to say Yale taking down Auburn. That was a pretty awesome game.
Well, like I said, it's always the upsets that you don't think are going to be upsets or the ones you got to look at. And everybody, I mean, you look at any kind of metric, Auburn was clearly supposed to win there and possibly cover, and they lose straight up because it's always the ones that you think are not going to be the upsets that are the upsets. And that's pretty predictive of our outcome of our records, both me and Tom. Like we went for some upsets that worked, some didn't, and that's just usually how it goes. But you got to reach out for some games like that. The Yale is a great example.
I will say that my 4-factor model did predict the Yale upset over Alabama. It also predicted Grand Canyon over St. Mary's, JMU over Wisconsin. I made some notes here, and Oakland over Kentucky. So there might be something to this four-factor model here. So we'll see how it plays out in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight.
I'm excited about it because I believe you said the four-factor had Duke going to the championship. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, Duke, Arizona. So.
All right, beautiful. All right, let's dive into it. We got 16 teams left, 8 games. Those are going to be Thursday and Friday, all night games coming up. Let's go to the East region. First game, San Diego State and UConn. We have this up on our bracket up here. And let's start with kind of the matchup. UConn's the heavy favorite here. They're actually the heaviest favorite out of all the games, minus 11.5 points. UConn's 67% against the spread, and San Diego State's 41% against the spread. So you got one of the best teams against the spread this year that's left in the tournament versus the worst at 41%. So that doesn't bode well for San Diego State. Totals 135 in this game. How do they match up? San Diego State's pretty good at rebounding, 55 in the country, 149th in scoring, so not great scoring team. 38th in defense, so pretty good defensively. UConn, we know, is an elite team, 44th in rebounding, 21st in scoring, 15th in defense, so they're well-rounded. I think this is the one game where we won't have a whole lot of controversies. So, Tom, kick us off. What do you like in this?
I think based on my model here with the four factors, I think they rate out a little more closely than maybe some people are giving them credit for. I have UConn 93rd percentile and San Diego State in the 89th percentile. So pretty close. So I don't know about all those points. I don't necessarily. This is the one game I didn't have the strongest opinion. I mean, I think strongest opinion in terms of outright winner, but in terms of the spread, I wasn't sure. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys thought about this one. I had some more definitive answers for the rest of the games.
What do you think, Cliff?
Well, I didn't think San Diego State would be here, but the Yale upset helps that some, I think. I thought for sure UAB, the style that they played, and they almost did. They almost did knock them off. I had UAB really either in this spot or Auburn, and I was actually looking forward to the Auburn-UConn matchup because that would have just been explosive. But instead, we get UConn and San Diego State, and I think San Diego State can frustrate UConn with their pace that they play, and that's really the only weakness that I think San Diego State can exploit against the Huskies. But I still don't think UConn's going to have any problem. I mean, you're just cruising their first 2 games of the tournament, and I think it's the same thing here.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way. So I think we're all aligned. UConn moves on. Would you take the UConn minus 11.5, or would you, if you had to choose one way or the other?
If I had to choose a side, I'd lean a little more to UConn here. I'm like I said, I keep doubting San Diego State, and twice now I've been proven wrong. But if they can control the pace of the game, then maybe they can maybe cover the spread. But if UConn gets it running, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, 11.5 points is a lot for a 135-point game. So
it's down. It's 10.5 now. It's coming down.
10, it's coming down.
Yeah.
So maybe we
135.
Yeah, maybe we
San Diego State plays.
Maybe we take this as part of a teaser, kind of bring that 11.5 down.
I like that.
UConn minus 6.5 or something like that, and then put it with something else. So, all right, let's move on. We got the night game in the East region. Cliff's team, the Fighting Illini, going up against Iowa State Cyclones. Both these teams are really good against the spread. Illinois is 63% against the spread. Iowa State 72%. So best team left against the spread. Close game. Iowa State minus 2.5. Total 146. Illinois 6th in rebounding, 10th in scoring, 231st in defense. So defense is really their only weakness. And it's kind of the opposite for Iowa State. Iowa State's not good at rebounding, not good at scoring, elite defensively. So you got 2 teams that are really kind of opposing strengths and weaknesses. What do you like, Cliff?
I think Shannon's going to be the factor there. It's how he plays with determine what Illinois does in that game. He's looked really good in his first 2 games. I think he still keeps it rolling. I do think Iowa State has looked really good in their first 2 games, but I'm gonna still roll with the Illini on the money line here, even though it's a small side on it. But you can take the money line with it being a 1.5 and 2, depending on what books you look at. But you could flip a coin here, but I'm going to lean a lot more towards Illinois. It's one of my bigger plays this weekend or this week into the week.
Nice. All right. And Tom, you're on the other side, right? You're like an Iowa State.
I am. I like the defense. I think in this spot, the defense could be what helps them win this game in terms of 4-factor rankings. You have Iowa State 94, Illinois 89. I think Illinois probably seems to be a little bit more volatile of a team. So I don't know. I'm leaning based on the matchups. I'm kind of really just playing that, and then if there's a couple little tidbits here and there, I'll factor those in. But I'm going with Iowa State. I don't know about the points. I think this could be a very tight, close game. So actually, I would take Iowa State money line, like -114 here. That would be my pick.
All right. Very good. Let's go to the South region. Let's go to the Blue Devils, number 4 seed, 61% against the spread, going up against Houston, 53% against the spread. So Duke's got the edge there. Houston's -4.5. Total's 133. I'm going to guess that's actually pretty high for a Houston game, although that last game that Houston played in was almost a 200-point game, right? Duke, decent rebounding, not great, 116th in the country, 43 in scoring. We saw what they could do against JMU the other day, 54th in rebound and defense, and Houston is pretty good rebounding, 70th in the country, not particularly great scoring, 192, elite defense, number 1 in the country. So does defense or offense win this game? Let's go with you, Tom. What do you like first?
Like as you teased coming into this, they're one of the highest ranked teams in my model in the entire tournament, the Duke Blue Devils. I think they're probably, Houston's elite defensively. I think Duke probably has some more firepower, maybe a little bit more well-rounded of a team, and not as like defensively focused. So they rank out in the 97th percentile in the 4 factors. Houston 91st percentile. So I like Duke getting 4.5 points here. That's my play.
Okay. And you're picking Duke to move on in the bracket as well.
I am. Yeah, I like them to win outright, and I'll take the points.
All right. And Cliff, you're liking Houston over Duke.
I haven't liked Duke since the first round, but they keep winning. They've actually looked really good. They shot well the last game, so I was pretty impressed by that. I just don't think they can consistently stay that well, but they have back-to-back games. They're young, so I'm still waiting for that game where they're not hitting anything, and I think this one might be it because of Houston's defense. So I got Houston advancing. It's not really a play for me on the spread or anything, but if I had to pick a side, I'd pick Houston.
Yeah. I'm actually not sure who's going to win this game. I've watched a ton of Duke games. What I can tell you is Duke is not very good at coming back from being down, which is the sign of a young team. So that JMU game, they came out, they had a huge lead. They just held on to it, right? Both games against UNC this year, which were competitive games, fell into a 10-point hole, couldn't climb out of it. So I think their offense kind of gets sloppy when they get into a scramble mode. So I think there might be a live opportunity as well if Duke falls down early in the game. Maybe you back Houston for a big win. But it all depends on the first couple minutes of the game. I think it's all going to come down to how Duke gets out of the gate.
All right.
We'll see. Let's move to the other teams in the South. NC State, the only remaining seed that's less than 6, right? They're 11 seed, 46% against the spread. They're like two different teams. The way they're playing now versus the way they played pretty much the rest of the season. Going up against Marquette, number 2. Marquette's 60% against the spread, so pretty good. -6.5. Total is 150 in this game, so pretty good. NC State, they really don't rank very well in any stat category when you look holistically across the season. So I'm not even going to talk about that. I bet if you were to hone that in on the last 10 games, they'd look very differently. Marquette's not very good at rebounding, so I think that's an opportunity for NC State. Marquette's 312th in the country. I think NC State will dominate them on the boards with the two bigs that they have. Better in scoring and better defensively. So this could be a really ugly game. I'm really surprised the total is 150 in this game. That seems high to me. Let's start with you, Cliff. Who do you like, Marquette or NC State?
I like Marquette to win, but I do have a small play on NC State. Well, on the spread there, I think they cover. I think they keep it close. I mean, the way they've been playing, like you said, in the last 10 games, I mean, they're a totally different team than they were in November. And it just kind of feels like they're supposed to win because we don't really have that Cinderella, and we always have one, and you can kind of call NC State the Cinderella. So, and you always tend to have one of those going into the Elite Eight. I think NC State could be it, but I still like Marquette to win. But the fact that the whole Cinderella story is in there, I'll take the points with NC State.
Couldn't agree more, Cliff. That's my play as well. These two teams, I thought it was interesting to find a number 2 seed and a number 11 seed rate out identically. They're both in the 75th percentile in terms of 4-factor rankings. So with two on paper equally matched teams, give me the team that's getting 6.5 points. So I'm back in NC State as well with the points.
Nice.
That total is worth a look. I agree. 150 could be a little too high here. I mean, I could see this game going somewhere in the upper 130s, low 140s. And like if you're saying with these teasers, teasing up that total to go under would be a pretty good play.
Yeah. So maybe tease that up to 160, take UConn minus 6.5 or 5.5 or something like that. That you might be able to get a something near plus 100. So we'll take a look at that after. I was telling Tom also, Shaka Smart's big into energy generating behaviors, EGBs, right? That's how he evaluates his team. I would say, Cliff, you're leading the PTM squad on EGBs.
Sweet. Write that down.
Yes.
Yeah, don't let us down here, right?
What's
energy
my
generating behaviors? Can we get one example of an energy generating behavior, Dave?
When Cliff starts talking about breweries and kind of calls us out. No, actually that's energy consuming behavior when he starts making fun of us because we don't know about the breweries in our backyard. So I'm gonna retract my statement. But anyway,
I think it's a good shirt, man. I would have an EGB shirt.
EGB
generating behavior.
All right, we'll have to work on that.
Right.
For the Final Four show. We'll see if we can get you one.
There we go.
All right, let's go to the Midwest. We got Gonzaga, who Cliff is wearing. Speaking of shirts, Cliff was all over this one. And they are the 5 seed, 52% against the spread, going up against Purdue and Zach Edey, 56% against the spread. Boilermakers are minus 5.5. Totals 154. Let's see. Gonzaga's good rebounding, good scoring, pretty good defensively. I think they're an underrated team. I think people were kind of not really looking at them as a competitive team, but I think they've got a good shot in this game. Purdue has looked really good, but their success is largely dependent on Edey. But he's like no other player in the league. 10th in rebounding, 12th in scoring, 119th in defense. So defense is really their only weakness. Let's start with you, Tom. I think you're on the Zags. Is that right?
Yeah, same story as the previous game. These two teams rate out identically, both surprisingly in the 95th percentile. So two elite teams here. So same story. I'm going to take, when two teams rate out like that, I'm going to take the underdog with the points. So Gonzaga plus 5.5 for me.
All right. And Cliff, I think you're on Purdue in this game. Is that right?
That's correct. I did like I said, both of the matchups in the first round and second round for Gonzaga. I thought they matched up really well. I mean, they blew the doors off of Kansas late in the second half. And then I knew McNeese, based on their strength of schedule, had no chance against the Zags in the first round. But here, I didn't like the matchup. I mean, in my bracket, when I got to this particular game, I just don't like how Gonzaga matches up with Purdue. None of this is a play for me, but the pick, I would pick Purdue here, but we'll have some rooting interest for the Zags, of course.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the other game. We got Creighton, who Cliff is a big fan of. I know that. Been talking about Creighton all season. 56% against the spread, going up against Tennessee, who looks like they're coming into form at the right time. 53% against the spread. Tennessee is -2.5 in this game. Totals 143. Creighton, good rebounding, good scoring, decent defensively. Tennessee, good rebounding, good scoring, decent defensively. They're very similar teams, to be quite honest. They match up pretty closely. That's why we got a 2.5 point spread. Cliff, who are you going with, Creighton or Tennessee?
So I'm going to go Creighton first half as one of my really big plays. And let me tell you why. There's a trend that's building now that started from the playing game with Colorado State and Virginia. Virginia only scored 14 in that first half, in a whatever, like, Walking Dead syndrome or something. That zombie bit Colorado State. When they played Texas, Colorado State only scored 11 in the first half. Texas advanced. Apparently, Colorado State bit Texas because Texas played Tennessee and only scored 19 in the first half. So I'm thinking Texas bit Tennessee now, and they're going to have a slow start in the first half. So give me Creighton. I would have liked Creighton anyway, but with that weird, funky trend, I'll keep riding that and see if it's like some kind of zombie effect.
Yeah, I mean, Creighton came out slow in that first round against Akron. I know you and your friends were out with a big bet on that one, and probably sweating that first half, but then they really came to form in the second half.
And like I said, in the second round, we played Creighton still big again second round, but I was really worried if they weren't going to have the shooting because Oregon plays zone defense, which is perfect for Creighton. And Creighton was getting really good looks.
Yeah,
And nothing was falling, and that's just it. If the shots aren't falling, they can get in trouble. But they started to fall in the second half. Oregon was kind of like I don't know what they weren't really taking advantage of those missed shots. And I kept saying Creighton needs to go inside, and they didn't, but that's not their game, so I don't blame them for not doing that. But I felt like Creighton sized up really well down low if they would have drove it inside, but they like to shoot threes, man. They shoot like 25 to 30 a game, so no surprise there. They just kept firing and firing until they start falling.
yeah, they do kind of live and die by the three. So I agree with that statement. Yeah. Tom, you're going with Tennessee, right?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, this is the second biggest delta between the rankings for the two teams. You have Tennessee 90th percentile, Creighton 76th percentile. So I think given that mismatch on paper with just a 2.5 point spread, I'm going to take Tennessee -2.5.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think if Tennessee plays to its capability, they could be the best team left in the tournament, to be honest with you. But they sometimes look like the best, and they sometimes look like a top 30 team. So we'll see which team shows up, but they've been looking good so far. Would they win their first game by like almost 40 points? Second game against Texas, they had a big lead and they blew it down
34.
the stretch. Yeah, they blew it down the stretch. So
yeah, that's what worries me about Tennessee is they tend to do blow double-digit leads a lot, and they did that against Texas. I thought they was going to run away from Texas, but they let Texas hang around, and you can't really do that against a Creighton team, man. Even if Creighton gets down by double digits, they can score really quick, and like we all know, they shoot from three, so they can't surrender those kind of leads, which they've been doing all year.
Yeah. I think this is going to be one of the best games to watch. I think it's going to be a nice battle. Either team could take this, but yeah. All right. So far, you guys agree on one game. You agree on UConn only, nothing else, but convincing arguments. So somebody's going to win between the two of you coming out of this. I'm pretty sure with all those differences. But let's go to the final bracket region. We got the West region. I know you both agree on the two winners out of this one. These might be the two most obvious picks. Yeah. But who knows? Let's start with the UNC game, UNC Alabama. Alabama's been looking better than kind of what we thought they would look like. We didn't even think they'd make it this far. We thought Grand Canyon would take them down. I think, Tom, you even thought Charleston might take them down in the first round.
Yeah.
If we look at that game, UNC is -4.5, largest total in all out of all the games by far. 173 points expected to be scored in this one. Alabama's pretty good at rebounding. Excellent. Number one team in the country at scoring. Can't play defense like we talked about. Although I think their defense looked pretty good against Grand Canyon, to be honest. So I think they may have figured some things out. UNC came out looking terrible against Michigan State, rebounded really well, kind of got back in the game, chipped away, and then just exploded. Number 8th in the country in rebounding, 21st in scoring, 119th in defense. So defense for both these teams is their weakness, but UNC still has the edge there. Tom, who are you liking here?
This one is the biggest mismatch on the board. UNC 95th percentile, Alabama all the way down 58th percentile. It's one of the lower rankings among ratings among all the teams in the all 68 teams in the field. So I think this is, to have such a mismatch and only be laying 3.5 points. I feel like UNC is the pick here, -3.5.
Yeah. And that was the same situation against Michigan State, right? It was a 3.5 point spread. I was looking at that all day, just saying, why? Like, this should be like a 9-10 point spread. I saw in the Discord, Cliff posted, hammer the 10 points. UNC is going to crush it. Then they fell down by, 15 plus points. I was like, uh-oh.
Early in the game, yeah.
Yeah, it was early in the game. But they're battle tested. That team is very seasoned, very veteran. And Baycott was just a beast. So I'll certainly be putting out another player prop on Baycott if we can get his PR back at what was it? I think 23.5 again. I would love that again. Cliff, what do you like? You're on UNC as well, right?
Yeah, this is one of my bigger plays here. I'm excited to get North Carolina discount again, and I will play the alt line 10 or
Agreed.
more in this one as well. I think, like, similar to Michigan State, I think Alabama hangs with them early on, but then, I mean, Carolina keeps the same pace through both halves. They don't really, blink an eye if they go down double digits. So, yeah, you could see maybe Alabama taking an early lead, but I think the same thing happens here. North Carolina runs with it late, and they win by anywhere from 10 to 15 points.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're all in agreement on that one. And let's round it off with Clemson, Arizona. Clemson's 58th percent against the spread. Arizona's 65% against the spread. Arizona -7.5. Totals 151. Clemson's honestly not that great in anything in terms of they're kind of mediocre, but have been playing well in the last couple of games. So I think they're similar to NC State. They've come on late, looking like a different team. Arizona's elite, number 3 in rebounding, number 3 in scoring. Defensively is where the weakness is, 191 out of 363 teams. Cliff, you like Arizona, or are we going for an upset with Clemson?
No, definitely like Arizona a lot. I mean, they've looked really sharp in the first 2 games. I like when they get out there and start running. I'm actually shocked by Clemson. I thought they shouldn't even deserve to be in the tournament, but they do kind of look like the team that was playing somewhere around December, early January.
Yeah.
They look like a team that could make some noise. But I thought they were, 1, shouldn't have even been in there, and 2, shouldn't have been seeded as a 6th seed. I was really disappointed in New Mexico. I thought they had a good shot. They matched up well, but Clemson blew the doors off of them. And then the Baylor game, I really didn't think they would hang around with Baylor, but ended up knocking them off by 8. But I just think this is a huge mismatch, and especially if Arizona gets out and starts running on them. I don't really lean aside on this, but I do like Arizona straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing about all of these teams, almost all of these teams, is they all have a legitimate big man. If you look at that, that's something that's carrying all these teams. Yeah, and a good point guard, right? So I think Clemson's got a pretty good big man. I think they're getting by on that, but I think they're in a huge mismatch. Tom, you on board with Arizona here?
Yeah, I like. I mean, they're the highest rated team in my model, 99th percentile. You have Clemson at 74, so big mismatch there. I personally have some skin in the game here. I have tickets to the Elite Eight Western Regional that I cannot go to, so I'm hoping for a UNC Arizona game there, so I can sell my tickets and make a lot of money. But I'm in New York. I ended up being in New York. I got the tickets back in December. So
Cliff's ready to take them off your hands and go fly out to the West Coast.
Yeah, man, I can't believe it. I would love to be at that game. Like I'm hoping that matchup. I mean, since the seeding came out, I was hoping we'd see the whole North Carolina Arizona drama unfold. So
yes.
I'm holding out that happens.
I know, me too. I'm disappointed, but yeah, I like Arizona. I like them laying 7.5 points here.
Money for selling the tickets.
Right, exactly. You'll make out well either way. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm so sad. 1, 2, 3. It's disappointing.
That's an energy generating behavior right there, Cliff. Well done.
There you go. Way to wrap things up there.
Put that down there for 1.
Put a bow on it.
I had the over under at 3.5 on my EGBs for this podcast, and we only got 1. Lose that bet.
Exactly. We'll work on that.
Some time.
So just to recap, kind of split down the middle on most of these picks. But the ones that I think are probably the most obvious picks, UConn, Arizona, UNC, or I think all three of us are aligned that those are winners. So maybe you look at doing some sort of teaser between those. We also liked, what was it, the Marquette NC State game for potentially an under on the 150, or if you go and tease that up to 160 points or 158 or something like that.
Yeah,
Put that with some of this.
Go give it, yeah.
Yep. So we'll be doing some combination of those. Yep. And I think Cliff, you were also on a Creighton.
I think being that me and Tom are yeah, but I mean it's not no surprise that we're split, because I mean outside of Arizona and UConn, those are some really good matchups. I think we're going to have some really good basketball this weekend. So it's not really surprising that we're, on either side of the spectrum here, because that's some really close spreads.
Yeah, a lot of close matchups.
Yeah. I mean, all these teams are top 6, right? Pretty much, other than NC State. So this is your best of your best going head to head. You're going to see a lot of classic games here, a lot of games coming down to the wire. I'm excited. Can't wait for it to start.
Yeah. Gonna be fun.
Blue bloods, a lot more blue bloods than normally in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, makes it fun. All right, boys. Well, that was nice. I guess we'll try to do this again, maybe for a Final Four. Do a quick one once we know those games, maybe late on the next weekend or something. But
only if Cliff gets the EGBs up.
I know. I only got 1. Like I had 3.5 on the line. So yeah, I'm gonna get that. I gotta get a shirt printed. I'm gonna work on that. I can get it. I mean, I work at a printing company, so I think I can get a shirt made.
I think that glass you're drinking from is EGB.
Before the next pod.
Exactly.
It's an EGB. See.
There you go. All right, guys.
Where can they get this at?
Propthemic.com.
Where do you get it at?
Go pick up your Wemby glass.
Extraterrestrial. In stores now. All right, guys. Nice work. Fun as always. Really looking forward to these games, and I think we're all ready to make some money. Thanks, guys.
Let's go.
Let's do it.